Nice to have your company anyway. This is DCFM 88.9. It is 9:19 and it is time for dun 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 dun.
Now for the latest news on what's hot and what's not in the world of technology with Matthew Dickerson on Tech Talk. Here on DCFM 88.9.
And it is my pleasure to welcome Matthew into the studio for another interesting chat about everything new technologically wise.
You're looking very dashing today, Chris. Got the DCFM orange t-shirt on today. Good work.
I made sure of it because I knew you'd be here. All right, well, there's a lot of things going on in this sheet of interesting subjects, so we'll start with the top. London conference discusses mobile phone theft epidemic in London. Sounds interesting.
Fascinating, because I've always said that mobile phones aren't stolen that often these days, simply because you've got so many provisions on a phone to make it useless to someone if they steal it. But in the last year in London, they had 57,174 thefts of mobile phones. That's just London. That's not the UK. That's just London.
Wow.
That's one theft every 9 minutes. So the Met Police and the Mayor and Apple and Samsung and Google are getting together in a conference to talk about ways they might prevent these thefts or minimise these thefts. Now, the Met Police have got normal, sensible advice, like don't leave your phone sitting in your car where people can see it. Don't have it out in your hand because people can ride along on a scooter or a push bike and grab it out of your hand. But the technology solution, I think, is going to be more important. And at the moment, for example, if you had an iPhone, you've got a pin on it. Hopefully you've got a pin on it. You don't have to, but I would recommend strongly you do. If someone steals your phone, the first thing they've got to do is get the pin right. You get a few goes at that before it locks you out for a certain amount of time. You have another go, it locks you out for a longer period of time. If you finally manage to get past that, then you're in the phone and then it's someone else's phone. So you want to wipe that and get it back to be your phone. Well, in that process, you've got to remove it from your Find My iPhone account or from your iCloud account. You need to know the password for that person's account. So that phone is typically useless. More to the point, if you get your phone stolen, you tell the carrier that your phone was stolen and they'll block that IMEI. So even if someone gets that phone, gets past all those security provisions, the phone is useless to someone. So I've always thought that mobile phones aren't stolen that often, but in London, it's been going up. It's gone up by 28% over the last year, gone up by 73% over the last 5 years. So hopefully, with those heavyweights in the technology world and the Met Police and the council there, hopefully together they'll come up with some solution that typically would be applicable not just to London, but across the entire world.
Sounds very, interesting how they get these phones. They've got new ways to just grab them off people without them knowing that it's gone.
Well, some of them might know it's gone as well, but it's too late. Once someone goes past on a scooter in a busy street, that phone's gone.
Alrighty, well, let's have a chat about this next topic. How plants and books zoom in on your virtual, is that last word? Credibility.
One of the things that I find is fascinating is that we've been doing so many video calls, so many Zoom calls. You get to the stage where you think people have just about got the hang of it. Hopefully, but it still happens, I'm sure, we're past the days of having a video conference looking up someone's nose or looking at half of someone's face, or sometimes people put their head in front of a bright outside door or window, and of course all you see is the bright glow from behind. So people have kind of got the hang of that sort of thing. But then we're now at the point where people are putting different backgrounds in. So they put novelty backgrounds in, they put different things in the background to try and make the image look better. Durham University has done a study on this to see what is the best background, what things look best in the background if you're doing a call. And they did 6 different examples. So they just put a normal living room, they put a blurred living room, they put some plants in the background, or they put some books in the background, and they put a novelty one there. They had a walrus sitting on the beach. So they had 6 different backgrounds, and then they got people to look at the same people with these different backgrounds and judge them for how trustworthy they looked and how competent they looked. And, no surprises here, the novelty ones didn't go so well. The ones with a bookshelf in the background or plants in the background were the ones that scored the highest in terms of credibility. So that was interesting for a start. Then the other part, which seems obvious, but if you just smile, people have more trust in you and believe you to be more competent. Sounds like a fairly simple thing to do, just to smile, but that's something that people forget to do sometimes. If they do it, that'll make them come across better in a Zoom call.
All right. Now, what about this sonic boom in medicine with FDA-approved device using sound waves to shatter liver tumours? That sounds really incredible.
They've been using sound waves in the past to do kidney stones. So that's one thing that's obviously fantastic. I haven't had a kidney stone, but anyone that has tells me they're very painful to pass the kidney stone, which is a lovely way of saying it's going to come out somewhere that's not designed to go out that small a hole. So that's one way we've seen sound waves in the past. But now in America, it's been FDA approved, as you said, for ultrasound to be used to destroy a liver tumour. Now, this is better than chemotherapy, better than having it cut out, and the real test will be once it's destroyed and it's then gone, whether that stays away, so whether that's effective long term. At the moment, they've determined that it is effective from a short-term perspective. Whether it's effective long term, that's the next question that we'll see.
Okay, well, that's a good breakthrough.
It is a fantastic breakthrough.
Rightio. We Change aims to cut the cord on electric toothbrushes with long-range wireless power. Well, good toothbrush hygiene is always good. I try
It
to do
is.
mine at least 3 times a day.
Oh, good work. Your mum will be very proud of you. Nikola Tesla died with a dream that was never realised. He had a dream of wireless power for everyone. So you could have a central source, maybe several in a city, and that power would go out to everyone. You'd be able to turn your lights on, turn your TV on, not they had TVs when Nikola Tesla was just talking about this, but run electrical appliances with no cables attached. Now the theory was fine. The problem was, because the power was going out in 3 dimensions, when you had that power source, it had to be incredibly powerful, and as it went across distance, it kept losing power at a very dramatic rate. Now, that didn't work, and I don't know that that will ever work, but what can work is low power devices. So in this example, there's a company called WeCharge, W-I Charge, and they've got an electric toothbrush. And the stand for the electric toothbrush that charges up your toothbrush sits on your bench in the bathroom with nothing connected to it. Now, you've got to install a transmitter in the ceiling of your bathroom, and anywhere within about a 9-metre area of that transmitter, you could sit down the base for this toothbrush and it would charge up your toothbrush. It's only using a few watts of power, and again, you're losing some of the power, you're wasting some of that power because you're transmitting that power from the ceiling. For it to work in that whole area, you are transmitting power that's being wasted effectively. But something like a toothbrush doesn't use much power. Could we get to the stage where mobile phones charge this way? Absolutely. How much further could we go? Could we start to run the lights in our house with nothing connected? Well, you start to use more power, and then that starts to get to the stage where maybe it's just a waste of energy to be able to do that. But you could do it. Again, you could get up to 10, maybe 15 watts. You could run a couple of LEDs, but you're not going to run every light in your household via this method because, again, you are wasting a lot of power doing it. But Nikola Tesla would be extremely happy if he was alive today to see this application.
It sounds like a very big step forward in technology.
Absolutely right.
And it's going to make things a little bit easier, especially if you haven't got a PowerPoint in your bathroom like me.
It would make things a lot easier. And I think we'll see it. I think we'll see some applications in the future where mobile phones come with this sort of feature built in, and then you'll just buy a transmitter to put in wherever you want, maybe your office, for example, and transmitting that. It's non-ionising radiation, it's low power, so it shouldn't do any damage to humans, and it just makes it convenient to imagine walking into the office and putting your phone anywhere and it'll just charge up.
And it'll certainly get better in the technology stakes where it won't be losing as much power when they futurise this product.
Well, the challenge of that is one of physics, and because you are going out in 3 dimensions, that's why you lose so much power in that. So to be able to make it convenient to cover a whole area, you are transmitting that power in every direction. So that is a challenge there, but who knows, they might overcome some of that in some way, shape or form.
Alrighty, what about Sydney-based tech startup launches world's most popular portable display?
Well, I do love the idea of a portable display. When I travel, when I'm sitting at my desk at home, I've got my 15-inch notebook screen as my primary monitor. My secondary monitor is a 32-inch screen. So I've got a nice big screen and 2 screens to work from. When I travel, I sit in a motel with a little 15-inch screen and I think, oh, I wish I had that second screen here to work with now. It's so inconvenient. It's a first world problem, I realise, but it's so inconvenient not having the big screen and not having 2 screens. Well, there were some Sydney students who had exactly the same problem, And they said, well, let's go and solve this problem. So they produced a little portable monitor, a little 13-inch monitor. They went okay with that. They then produced a 15-inch. They've just released a 17-inch monitor, which has got the monitor, a stand, a magnetic stand, but on the stand, the base of that is a 27,000 milliamp hour battery, which is enough to charge the monitor or run that monitor and a notebook all day. So you can go out there with this portable monitor and your notebook, plug the two in, and you've got all-day power with two screens to work with. Now, it's still not as portable as a notebook. That's still a bit of an issue with it. It folds up reasonably well, but it's a 17-inch screen still. A 17-inch screen is still a reasonable size, but these have been going off in America, been very popular in America. And in particular, I think if you were just travelling to Sydney for a day for a bit of work, you mightn't take it with you. But if you're on holiday somewhere, maybe you should take a break from your computer, but if you're on holiday somewhere and you take your computer along, you might take it in there, and wherever you set up your holiday for a week or two, it might be convenient to have that second monitor there. So well done to those guys from Sydney. It's good to see Aussies going well with some sort of startup, and I think we'll see more of this sort of action, more of these ideas, because we are so accustomed to multiple monitors now.
We are starting to get some smart people in our country, aren't we?
Exactly right.
So anyway, it's been good having a talk and getting Hugh to tell us a bit about some of the technology that's available to the public now and up and coming. So thank you very much for joining us on Tech Talk today.
My pleasure, Chris.
Thank you, Matthew. And we'll have another chat with Matthew next Wednesday, around about the same time. But in the meantime, let's have a few of our wonderful sponsors.